Joined now by the mayor of Bradley County, Gary Davis. Good morning, Mayor Davis. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Steve. I'm good. You all right today?
Good to see you. And as we come on the air this morning, Mayor, it's a very serious situation locally. What are the latest numbers? What are the active numbers, Bridget?
In Bradley County, 1,079.
What do you make of that?
It's not good, Steve, but let's back up. Let's be optimistic and talk about the light at the end of the tunnel. Bobby just mentioned stocks are up because they can see that light at the end of the tunnel. It was a great weekend. If you watched the news, you saw those trucks leaving the facility there in Michigan, headed to the airport. They're being flown, and it's an amazing event. It's amazing the planning that's gone into this. We've been having virtual meetings with the White House and with the State Health Department for weeks now planning it, and they kept talking about a certain date, which I felt like if they came close to that date, they'd be doing good, but it looks like they're going to meet right on that date, which was always the 15th. But the vaccines at the airport being flown all over this country as we speak today, and that's pretty amazing. 9 months ago, we had our first positive case. 9 months later, vaccines being delivered to every state in the union. It'll take a couple of days to get it here in Bradley County probably, but approximately December the 15th is going to be an approximate date that they've used for weeks, and they're going to be very close to it. And of course, it'll be going to health care and nursing homes first, the most vulnerable, and the frontline people, which we need it there very much, which is back to what you were talking about. We've got to get vaccinations to those people because staffing, hospitals, I'm sure everywhere is having staffing issues. Our ambulance service is having staffing issues because those are frontline people dealing with this pandemic. So getting the vaccines to the frontline people, to the nursing homes, which is where a lot of the numbers have been coming from lately, is going to be very, very important. And so it's a great day in the sense that we can see a glimmer of light at the end of that tunnel. It's still going to take a while. Back to the numbers. We've got to get more serious about the guidelines. They think of all kinds of ways to be negative or down on me for what I'm not doing enough of. And someone the other day said, why do you keep talking about reminding them of the guidelines? They need to be abiding by the guidelines. And they were right. I keep reminding people, but I need to be reminding them to abide by the guidelines. Our number's 1,079. Who would have ever thought we'd have got over 1,000? We're close to that 1% mark, which people draw lines in the sand, but the 1% mark's always been something that's been out there, and we've never been close to it until now. So we're very close, and the result of that is our hospitals. I can't talk numbers, but they're definitely bulging as we speak. Our ambulance service is being run constantly, all they can do. All kinds of emergency services are strained as we speak. So what can we do in the meantime? The 4 guidelines have got to be abided by. Washing our hands, using a sanitizer, avoiding large crowds, the social distancing, and yes, please wear your mask. There are people out there that just will argue that masks don't help. I think they're wrong, but it's the most we can do. Anytime I'm anywhere, I'm constantly taking surveys, and I was in a grocery store over the weekend, and every single person had a mask on but one, and it was amazing. This one couple, she had a mask on, he didn't. They're both going home, but one of them's been out there without a mask. I don't understand the thinking of these people, but we've got to take it more serious. All 4 guidelines need to be abided by. We need to all be doing our part. We want to be able to go to ball games, but we go to ball games, and if you look at the crowd, a lot of people don't have their masks on. We've got to get more serious about it, folks. The numbers are up there. It's bad. But to make a full circle, light at the end of the tunnel. Vaccines are on their way. Hopefully in the next, I think they'll do the same thing with Moderna this week on the 17th. Probably next weekend we'll see hopefully Moderna being shipped out. And it will be coming to Bradley County to be used by our emergency services first. And it'll take a few months, but it'll get down to everyone in the very near future. So light at the end of the tunnel, but in the meantime, we've got to remember the guidelines and be abiding by them, not just remembering them.
We're joined by Bradley County Mayor Gary Davis, and so much to talk about this morning. What do you say to those families? I mean, here we are, Gary. It's Christmas time. What do you say to families as they're making their plans for gatherings, for traditional families?
It's tough. It's an individual decision. My family's having the same discussions as we talk, and Again, I get accused of being the negative one in the crowd, but we've got to be taking this serious, and I don't know what the answer is. Nobody does. We obviously didn't do it quite good enough at Thanksgiving, because this is 2 weeks after the fact, and then our numbers are out the roof. Of course, people have got to remember, this isn't just Bradley County. It's all across the country. It's really all across the world. But all across the country, all across the state, but even here in Bradley County, the numbers are out the roof. I don't know what to suggest for Christmas, but at least sit down and discuss it. We need to keep our groups as small as possible. I heard the discussions going on yesterday in my house. Well, I want to see Mom. Well, I want to see my sister. I understand that, but maybe you do it in phases. Maybe you see some of them at one time of the day, and then you see some others later, but don't have those large gatherings. And again, remember all 4 guidelines, even when you're doing those things. Wash your hands, use sanitizer, stay apart as much as possible, keep the gatherings as small as possible, and yes, please wear our masks, please.
It's it's sorry to say, but it looks like this Christmas is going to be very different, and it should be based on what's happening. If we can sacrifice 1 year, then maybe we'll have more years. I read the story of Charlie Pride, who we lost on Saturday, took to the coronavirus, 86 years old, and his family is pleading with people to abide by these guidelines. They came out very publicly over the weekend and said, look, folks, do what they're saying, because we lost Charlie, we lost their dad and grandma. I want to go back to the vaccine here in Bradley County. So your knowledge, as you mentioned in your opening there, that the date is supposed to be tomorrow, we think. It's talking about Pfizer coming to Bradley County for our first responders and healthcare workers. Maybe a couple of days difference. I know that Tennessee was part of a pilot plan. Is that right? We were one of those first 4 states.
My understanding is that's correct. And yes, the 15th has always been a target date that they've used.
Yeah.
We didn't know because we didn't know for sure when it would be approved and all of those kinds of things. It's just working out to be pretty close to that. The shipments arrive in the state today, the 14th. They go out to these various locations on the 15th. At that point, it will be handled in various ways. I mean, an organization probably is not going to do all of the vaccines at that particular location all in one day, because they're going to want to stagger it probably. That's going to be left up to them. It's going to take a few days to get it done, but the week of the 15th, it should be occurring at all nursing homes across the state, as well as most all hospitals, including ours here in Bradley County. So healthcare workers will get them, and the nursing homes will get them, and that's where they're needed so badly. And hopefully they'll come very soon then to the rest of us. So it is a great thing to be looking forward to. We may have some discomforts and some things to discuss concerning Christmas, but if our loved ones are there and we're able to see them even for 5 minutes and spend a little bit of time with them, as opposed to a lot of people who won't be able to do that or to say that, and so we need to count our blessings.
We're joined by Bradley County Mayor Gary Davis. I've got to brag on Bradley County and those involved in the decorations downtown. We were not able to have our annual tree lighting, obviously. I believe that was actually weather-related that Friday night. But anyway, we've not had the parade. We've not had all these things we look forward to every year, and rightfully so. But, so last night, we had never done this. Jennifer, our 2 children, Reagan and Holden, and I, we loaded up, and we came downtown. This is about in the 7 o'clock hour. And we walked around the downtown square, and we looked in Bank of Cleveland and Bobby Taylor's train set and the lights, and then we went over to the tree and took pictures. And I want to tell you, our downtown, then we went down to First Street Square, what they've done down there. It's just really beautiful right now. It really is.
And a lot more people were doing that last night, especially driving through. Not everyone was getting out walking, like you said, but the downtown looks great, and hopefully we'll even improve on it more next year. But the lighting downtown, the LED lighting around the courthouse and tops of the buildings, the trees, our Christmas tree. I noticed the newspaper called it the Cleveland Christmas tree and the Cleveland gazebo. Well, okay, guys, but and I always say Cleveland and Bradley County anyway, and that takes care of everyone. But First Street Square, it all looks great, and hopefully, even though you can't do a lot of things this Christmas, get in your car and drive through downtown. It looks good, and we're proud of it.
Yeah, great job. Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate you coming in and talking to the people this morning. You know, you mentioned ball games. I mean, look at this historic situation. Cleveland and Bradley County came together. The school systems on Friday said all athletics shut down from the elementary level all the way to high school. It's never happened before that I know of.
I don't think so either. And if I was a parent, I wouldn't like that probably, but it's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Let's take a break here to the first of the year. Schools will be closing this week totally for Christmas vacation. That's pretty good timing. And let's just be abiding by those guidelines through the holidays, do the best we can, meet with loved ones when we can. I'm an optimistic. We can see that light at the end of the tunnel, but at the same time, it's still very serious. Our numbers have never been higher. Let's please remember and abide by those guidelines. And I must take the opportunity. Merry Christmas to everyone from the Bradley County government.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gary. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming. Bradley County Mayor D. Gary Davis bringing us an update. And yes, there is light at the end of the tunnel, but we must do better between now and then.